everybody, my name is B-Boy Madness, and today I'm going to be telling you about a new format called Horizon. Okay, so today what I want to tell you about is what exactly is Horizon, why you would want to play Horizon, and some example decks in the format. And hopefully, after listening to it, it sounds pretty cool. And if you'd like to play, we'll also talk about how you can start playing. Okay, so first off, what is Horizon? So Horizon, it's basically Frontier with only commons and uncommons. So what that means is it's an eternal format, and it starts from M15 onward. So of the other expansions, this includes Cons block, and anything that was printed for Standard and is either Standard legal now or once was Standard legal. So those sets are the ones that are legal for Horizon. So why would you want to play Horizon in the first place? Well, first off, it's a very budget format. So a lot of the decks in Horizon can be built for only about $20 or so. Some might cost upwards of $40 or so, depending on if you're running things like Fatal Push or any sort of uncommon that's going for a lot. Mainly Fatal Push or a Braid or something like that. Another benefit of the format is the cards are super widely available. So if you bought in packs in the last couple of years, you're going to have a lot of cards laying around that you can use to play Horizon. Also, it's a non-rotating format. So what that means is, let's say you build a cool deck that you really like, and it's based off of cards from an older set, like Shadows over Innistrad or something like that. You don't have to worry about your deck rotating out of the format. It'll always be there. So you don't have to build new decks if you don't want to. And finally, Horizon decks, they're really fun, and they're not like insanely powerful. I think it's a good balance of being powerful yet not overpowered to the point where certain rares or mythics just really dominate the format. Okay, so Horizon might sound pretty similar to other formats. One format in particular is Pauper, and another one is Peasant. So for those that don't know, Pauper allows the use of only commons, and Peasant, I don't know that much about Peasant, but basically it uses commons, and you can also use a number of uncommons. I think it's only 5 uncommons. But the issue with these formats is that the cards legal for the formats go all the way back to the very beginning of Magic. So what you get is a lot of cards that by today's standards, they just wouldn't be printed. So these are legal in the older formats like Legacy or whatnot, or in this case, Pauper or Peasant. But with modern card design, you wouldn't see things like Daze, like a free counter spell. Or you wouldn't see Hymn to Turok, which for 2 mana, if you're casting that on turn 2, you might get your opponent to discard all their lands. Or Fire Blast that allows you to do 4 damage and just pay an alternate cost. You don't even have to use mana to do it. So that's the thing with Horizon. The cards are more of a modern New World Order type of card design. So you're not going to get these sort of crazy things that can be kind of unfun. I mean, they're always fun when you're doing that stuff, but when people are doing that to you, it's not always fun. So that's the difference. Horizon's going to include a lot more creature-based type stuff. A lot of stuff revolves around creature. Another format that is very similar to is Frontier. So it includes the same card sets, but the card pool is different because Frontier doesn't. Frontier has rares and mythics, whereas Horizon is only commons and uncommons. A big difference between the two formats are the Cons of Tarkir fetch lands. So the Cons of Tarkir fetch lands, these are definitely not budget. I mean, they keep getting more expensive. I mean, they're not as expensive as they used to be since they got reprinted in Cons. But still, just one of these fetch lands alone could be the cost of a whole Horizon deck. Another issue with the fetch lands is that it makes it so you can make 4-color and 5-color good stuff decks pretty easily, along with the lands, the dual lands from the other sets that count as also the basic types of lands. So with Horizon, mostly you're going to see 2-color decks. Sometimes you can see 3-color decks, but it's not like Frontier, where you get these 4-color and 5-color good stuff decks, and really the format is just dominated by Cons block. Okay, so So far, I've talked a lot about what the format is, but it might not be clear what the decks actually look like. So a lot of the decks, they kind of resemble draft decks on steroids. So what I mean is, for example, Black White Zombies. This was a deck that existed in Amonkhet draft, and a good card for that deck was Binding Money. So this is a common that surprisingly powerful. If you get, you could realistically get 2 or 3 of those in your draft, and if you have them out there, if you're playing a zombie every turn, your opponent is not going to be able to block. But since this is a constructed format, not only will you have 4 Binding Mummies, but you can have 4 Lord of the Accursed to pump up your zombies, and also Wayward Servant, which in multiples this guy can drain a lot of life. Actually, can make it a lot easier to race. Another example of a Horizon deck kind of being like a draft deck on steroids is the Nest of Scarabs deck. So this card, Nest of Scarabs, is what you might consider a build-around card in draft. So, you know, when you read it, you can see you can make a ton of tokens if you have cards that involve putting -1/-1 counters on creatures, which, you know, if you pick this up in your draft, you would try to pick up things like Exemplar of Strength. So this guy lets you, you know, if you have a Nest of Scarabs out, you can get 3 insect tokens, but since this is constructed, you get 4 of those guys. And also a card like Torment of Venom, which is a removal spell, but at the same time with Nest of Scarabs, you could get a ton of 1/1 tokens. So that's what I mean about the decks looking kind of like draft decks on steroids. They're tons of fun though. I mean, if you like to draft and you like those style of decks, Horizon will be a lot of fun for you. Some decks are also just, they're kind of like ports from other formats. Like one example is Teamer Energy, which, you know, is doing very, very well in Standard right now. And it's surprising, a lot of the cards in Teamer Energy are actually uncommons. So that includes Rogue Refiner, Servant of the Conduit, Longtusk Cub, and Whirler Virtuoso. So you might not get your Bristling Hydra or your Chandra or something like that, but there's a lot of good cards that are uncommon, they're cheap, and you can use them in Horizon. So Teamer Energy is a possibility in Horizon. Another one is Blue-White Monument. And what I'm talking about is this card, Oketra's Monument, which can help you make tons of 1/1 tokens. So this one's going to look a bit different than what was being played back in Standard because you don't have rares or mythics in the format. But you have guys like Aviary Mechanic and Jeskai Barricade. Those can allow you to bounce your own guys and make tons of 1/1 tokens. And also in this format, there are no bannings yet. So Felidar Guardian and Reflector Mage are also legal, and they go perfectly into this type of shell. So from what you heard, hopefully you're interested in playing Horizon, and if you are, how can you start playing? Well, probably the easiest thing to do is just tell your friends about it. Likely you have a lot of these cards laying around already just from packs that you bought. So it's really easy, just slap together some decks and start playing. And if you like it, it's not going to cost you much to make a good deck. You know, like I said, a lot of the decks cost $20 or so. If you're running Fatal Pushes, it's going to cost you more, but if not, it's pretty cheap. And by the way, Fatal Push is only okay in this format, so you really don't even need Fatal Push. Another thing that you could do is check out the app MTG Amino. So MTG Amino is a smartphone app that's available on Android and iPhone. And the easiest way to describe it is that it's like a Facebook for Magic. And you know, it's kind of a blogging website in a way, a social networking site, really an app, I guess. But there is a growing following for Horizon on there, and that's actually where the format came about. So hopefully you liked the video, and if you have any questions or comments, just leave them below, and thank you for watching.